Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. And well, this is the video where I rank all the Assassin's Creed games. Now, I have done this before, actually almost exactly a year before. And well, at that time, I kind of combined all these sections and made one video, and that was over an hour long. And I don't want to do that because I got a little bit of negative feedback then. And honestly, making the videos that long really don't make all that much sense. So all that considered, this time I'm going to be dividing it into 3 different videos, and this is the first of that series. And this is the video where I rank all the Assassin's Creed games in terms of their gameplay. Now I've selected 4 distinct categories which are parkour, combat, stealth and mission design, and I have ranked all the games in each of these categories, taking the average, and the final rankings are reflective of that. And I'll show you the entire table at the end of the video. But right now, without delaying you anymore, I would first say, please subscribe to my channel. That really makes me happy. And secondly, let's get on with it. Now at number 12, we have Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now, I said in my review of Assassin's Creed Valhalla that this is a game that I love and hate in equal measure. And this is the part which I hate. Now, in terms of parkour, it is dead last in the series. It employs what was the worst system in the series, and for some reason it actually focuses on it. And since it focuses on it, it appears to be worse than the systems before it. So that is why it is dead last, at least in my opinion. In terms of combat, it is adequate. It is, I would say, about average as far as this series is concerned. Now, Assassin's Creed has never really had good combat, and this is sort of good enough, so there's that. Now moving on to stealth. In stealth, this is again dead last because stealth in this game does not work. Like, you need to have very specific circumstances for this series, for this game, to actually have proper stealth. Social stealth just almost never works. Normal stealth, the guards can detect you from 100 meters away while standing on top, while I'm sitting inside the grass for some reason. Sometimes I can sneak up to guards without them noticing. Sometimes they will notice even though they are not looking at me. This whole system is a mess. The whole system wasn't implemented properly, and social stealth doesn't even work. Like, there are so little situations where social stealth actually works that it's not even worth mentioning. So yeah, it is dead last in terms of stealth. In terms of mission design, it is not the worst, but barely. Like, there are almost no moments in Valhalla where I can really go back and recall and say, this was a really good mission. This was a really good boss battle or something like that. Like, almost everything in Valhalla feels soulless and generic. And I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel. And well, yeah, so it's not dead last because there's a game that is worse, but it might as well be there. Because honestly, I can't, off the top of my head, I cannot think of a single mission where I was like, yeah, this has a really good design. So yeah, this deserves its place at number 12. In number 11, I have Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Oh dear, I am already going to get ripped apart, but let's get on with it anyway. Now in Odyssey, the parkour is, well, it's the same system as Valhalla, but I would say it is slightly better because it's slightly faster. It does have vaulting and stuff, and unlike Valhalla, your character doesn't start crouching after you vault, because I don't know why they did that in Valhalla, but in Odyssey it doesn't. So it has some sort of a momentum going for it, but honestly it's still the worst system in Assassin's Creed. So yeah, for more details on that, you can watch another video that I made that is called The Fall of Parkour in Assassin's Creed. So yeah, go watch that later on. Now watch this. So in terms of combat though, it is good. It is fun. And that's about it. Now, why is it? Now, I didn't rank it high on the list. It is sort of in between. It's in the middle. It's slightly above Valhalla. The reason for that, the main reason why Odyssey is not higher on the list is because, in my opinion, it's too flashy and over the top for Assassin's Creed. But this is my own subjective opinion. You may like it. If this is the stepping point for you in this franchise, you may as well say that this is the best combat system in Assassin's Creed. And I will not disagree with you on that because it is fun, and honestly, some things that it does are better than the other games. So it is my opinion that combat is not as good, but that is what it is, just my opinion. In terms of stealth, it's not good, it's not bad. It gives the players a lot of tools, but this game is not made for stealth. So yeah, it's not that good. In terms of mission design, there is one game in this franchise that is worse than Valhalla, and that is Odyssey. Just on the sheer amount of bandit camps that I had to clear up for the missions is ridiculous. I cannot stress on this fact any more than I already have. Like, I was pissed off while playing this game because it was so damn repetitive. And the only time I actually enjoyed the gameplay of Odyssey was during two boss battles. One was with the Minotaur and one was with Medusa. I would say Medusa is the best boss in this entire franchise. That is, again, in my opinion. But yes, even with that, this game has such bad design that even after the fact that I'm saying one of the bosses is the best, it still can't match up. It is still the worst game. Moving on to number 10 though, it is Assassin's Creed Rogue, and honestly it's a small game, so I'm not going to waste much time on it. It is the same parkour system as Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which is why I rated it very close to Assassin's Creed Black Flag. In terms of combat though, it is again the same as Black Flag, so I rated it again near Black Flag. So it is average. It is average in both parkour, it is average in combat. In stealth, it sucks, because stealth and Black Flag and Rogue were really sort of optional. Look, you can play these games in stealth. It's not like you can't play Black Flag and Rogue in stealth. But in Rogue, the game pretty much tells you not to, right? Yes, there are pigeon coops in Black Flag and all that, but you know, it's just the game, it's not made for stealth. Mission design, slightly less uninspiring than Valhalla and Odyssey, but only slightly. Like, this could easily have been in the bottom spot in terms of mission design, but it's just about not. So there's that. Now moving on to number 9, which is Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Now Syndicate is a game that I really loved the first time I played it, but on my subsequent playthroughs, I hated it. And there is a reason for that. Now in terms of parkour, I said that Odyssey, Valhalla, and also Origins, they have the worst parkour system, where Syndicate is sort of where that trend started. Syndicate is truly the downfall of this mechanic in Assassin's Creed, as I have detailed in my other video. In terms of combat, this is the worst combat system in Assassin's Creed, bar none. I don't care about anyone else's opinion on this. Like, everything just feels wrong. The animations are somehow weirdly sped up. There are only 3 weapon types. Yes, there are finishers and all that, but just this is not suited for Assassin's Creed. This is not suited for any game that is trying to be whatever this game was trying to be. In terms of stealth though, this is really, really good. In terms of stealth, I rate this very high on the list, and that is because it is sort of the best of both worlds. Now in the older Assassin's Creed games, you didn't have really the traditional stealth, crouching down or just hiding from enemies in low profile, that sort of thing. But in Syndicate and Unity, you had that stealth system. In fact, I would say in some instances, Syndicate actually works better than Unity. It does the cover system better, it does the social stealth thingy better, the blending in with the crowd better. Of course, a little bit due to the aesthetics, because all your weapons are hidden. But it does some things wrong, and that is why it is not quite as high on the list. But yeah, overall Syndicate is pretty good in stealth. In terms of mission design, I enjoyed pretty much every single assassination. I remember almost every single assassination. There were multiple ways to do them. It really opened up various opportunities for you to perform the assassinations. But of course, there was always one set path which you could take for that story assassination sort of thing. So overall, I really liked the mission design in Syndicate, but it's not the best. But again, it's not the worst either. So yeah, it's right there in its number 9 spot. At number 8, of course, is the new era of Assassin's Creed, and that was Assassin's Creed Origins. Now in terms of parkour, I've said this, this is the worst system. It is slightly better than Valhalla, but only because it doesn't focus much on that system. In terms of combat though, that's a completely different story. In terms of combat, in my opinion, this is almost the best system in Assassin's Creed. So what they did was they essentially used the system from Unity, all the things, and they sort of used an unpaired animation system. They included sort of a few different things, more weapon types for starters, more attack types, because there was heavy attack, light attack, there was sort of an attack where you just hold the button. So there were some things there, and there was a parry button, everything. So overall, and even the parries needed to be timed properly in Origins. So it was a fun to play the game. It was grindy. It was the damage number. The enemies were damage sponges. I will give it that. But overall, I still liked what the system was going for, and going forward with the series, I would much rather have a combat system that improves upon Origins than upon almost any other game in the series. So there is that. In terms of stealth, it is passable. It is good in stealth. It's not bad. It sort of works. At least the detection system is a lot better than Valhalla. So that's a plus. Overall, yeah, it's a good system. It's not bad. You don't have social stealth. Social stealth is completely gone, and that is why it's not higher on the list. But in terms of traditional stealth, the bows work well. Everything sort of works well, gels together. So yeah, it deserves its spot. In mission design, there was some memorable things in this game, but not a lot. It's more near the bottom of the table as far as mission design goes, because it almost suffers from the same problems as Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, the only reason Origins is higher is because of the pyramids and those tomb puzzles, because I really enjoyed those. And so yeah. Now, moving on to number 7, I have Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And well, this is one of my favorite games in the series, which is weird because it's at number 7 on this list. But I will justify my position in the other lists. So now, in Black Flag, of course, parkour was the same system from Assassin's Creed 3, but in my opinion, slightly downgraded. I don't know why I feel this, but I just feel like this is not the same system as AC3. Even though it's basically in the same era, almost the same animations and stuff. It's just that the world didn't really complement parkour in this. Now, in terms of combat, it was really fun playing as Edward Kenway and basically making shish kebab out of our enemies. So, yeah, it was not realistic. Like, Edward is taking on 50 people, fighting them off without so much as getting a scratch on him. But it was fun. So I can't really fault it. It looked somewhat realistic, even though it wasn't. In terms of stealth, I've said this when I was talking about Rogue. This game wasn't going for stealth. It was going for that pirate fantasy. It was going for that pirate action. Yes, there are stealth segments. And in fact, there is even a ship stealth segment, which is one of the reasons why this is actually so low on the list. If there wasn't that ship stealth stuff, I would have bumped it slightly higher because it did have a little bit more stealth than Rogue. But yeah, the ship stealth thing really pissed me off. In terms of mission design, it is still not at the top in terms of mission design, but it might as well be because this is so good. So good. Like, just everything in this about this mission. Yes, it is repetitive. Let's be honest, this entire franchise is repetitive. So I can't sit here and say just because it's repetitive is not good. It's just that the things that it does do in terms of its missions, in terms of its design, that is really good. So yeah, it deserves a spot. At number 6, I have Assassin's Creed Revelations. Now, in Revelations, in terms of parkour, it is near the top, but it's not at the top. Of course, there are a few games that have done this thing better. Now, in terms of combat, though, this ranks among the worst combat systems in this series. Because say what you will about the older Assassin's Creed games, from Assassin's Creed 1 through Revelations, combat was not their thing. But then again, they were going for stealth. As I said, Odyssey, Valhalla, Origins, Syndicate, they were going for more of a combat focus. But these ones, they were going for the stealth focus. So they didn't care much about the combat. Combat was just sort of there to, be there. And that's what it is. That's what the system looks like. In terms of stealth, though, this is above average. This is still not the best system in the series, but it is a part of the best system in the series. There are parts of the best system in the series in this game, even though it doesn't quite work out. So yeah, it's instead. Now, in terms of mission design, though, just I don't even want to say anything about it. This game has some of the best missions that I have ever played. If you don't consider the tower defense missions, please don't consider the tower defense missions. Those were shit. Just yeah. Other than that, though, this has some really good missions. Now at number 5, we have the original Assassin's Creed. Now if you have seen my older video, I told you things are going to change, and they have, because I started playing Assassin's Creed again recently. In fact, it's still going on my series. I haven't finished the series on my channel. And it has really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And in terms of parkour, this is the second best system in the series. I didn't say this in my parkour video because I honestly did not realize the extent of the problem, but I said this. Like in the older games, the biggest culprit for people screwing up in parkour was the camera. In Assassin's Creed 1, the camera is actually good. It's not quite perfect, but it is actually good. In Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood and Revelations, the camera is weirdly stiffer, and that sort of screws up the parkour. But that's again, for me, it might be different for you because I play on a keyboard and mouse. For a controller, I can see why a more stiffer camera might be better, but for keyboard and mouse, it sort of limits my own movement. So yeah, this is the second best system in the series. In terms of combat though, this is the second worst in the series. This is slightly better than Syndicate, but this is a very rudimentary combat system. Yes, there were counter grabs, there were counters, there were just basically counters. All you need to do is just stand in your stance and counter every single attack and you will pretty much win. Like I have killed hundreds of people by doing that. And when I say hundreds of people, I don't mean overall in the game. I mean in one sequence. So yeah, it's pretty bad. It's not balanced at all. In terms of stealth, this ranks among the top in the series, and I never realized it. I played it when I was a little kid. I never realized just how good this game was. And now I'm realizing it. Like, yes, the stealth doesn't always work, but in terms of social stealth, in terms of you just blending in with the crowd, in terms of you doing things as an assassin, there is almost no other game that is better than Assassin's Creed 1. I don't know why they didn't continue with that, but yeah. In terms of mission design, this ranks among the top. And I cannot believe that I did not realize this. In this game is very straightforward. The mission design, especially when it comes to gathering intelligence, is very basic. You either interrogate someone, you kill someone, you pickpocket someone, and that's it. There's two more mission types, but let's not dwell too much into it. But the real standout in this game were the end of sequence, the assassination missions. The freedom that we get in this game has not been replicated since, even in Unity or Syndicate. They really tried hard to do it, but they just couldn't replicate this feeling that we had in Assassin's Creed. The amount of freedom that we get in this game to go forth and do the assassination missions, the way the missions are designed, just beauty. It's a beautiful game. So yeah, it deserves its spot. At number 4, I have Assassin's Creed 3. This is also a change from before because this was lower on the list the last time. In terms of parkour, I've said this in my video, I feel now that this is the best in the series. Yes, it has its issues. When I say the best in the series, doesn't mean it doesn't have flaws. In fact, it doesn't even mean that the games before or after it haven't done some things better. But as a whole package, this thing has the most features, works the best, looks the best. So this is in the first position. In terms of combat, this is going to be subjective, but I actually enjoyed the combat in Assassin's Creed 3. It is not as easy as Black Flag's combat. There is a little bit more skill involved. And in general, I just feel like this is a combat system that they can improve upon, which they did improve upon with some respects in Unity, And ultimately, they did improve upon that in Origins, and that's what we see in the modern games. So I feel like this is a good combat system. In terms of stealth, again, this game wasn't really going for stealth. It's the American revolution, you are part of that revolution. It does have social stealth, like in terms of, blending in with the crowds, doing stuff, but it wasn't made for stealth. In terms of the mission design though, this is where I am a little bit conflicted. It's not the best, it's not the worst, but it is good enough. Like, in terms of what you're actually doing in the game, of course, this introduced the naval segments in Assassin's Creed. It was not actually Black Flag who did that. And considering the fact that the missions were variously structured, the assassinations were really cool. And in fact, this is why I'm conflicted. Like, if you remember the E3 mission, where Connor charges through the battlefield, goes through the ranks of the British. We don't actually do that in the game, but that mission is still very good. So yeah, all that said, yeah, it deserves its spot. Now, at number 3, I have Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. And this game is so good that I can't really say much else. Like, it has... Now, I said that Assassin's Creed 1 is slightly better in parkour than this one. And only slightly, only because of that stiff camera am I bumping down Brotherhood, because essentially parkour was more refined and improved in Brotherhood. In terms of combat though, I said that in the older games, these rank among the worst combat systems in the series. So yeah, it is among the worst systems, but in terms of stealth, it does very good, but it's not the best system. It is a good system. So in terms of the mission design though, this has the best mission design in the entirety of Assassin's Creed, and I'm not even kidding. This is so good that I honestly have no more words left to describe it. Like, you go to the tombs of Romulus, the followers of Romulus, the various tombs, the Templar lairs, just the amount of platforming sections this game has, and the way these are made, these are just so good. And that is not even considering all the assassination missions and stuff. So yeah, this is the best in the series. Now, at number 2, we have Assassin's Creed 2. Now, in terms of parkour, it is slightly worse than Brotherhood because Brotherhood did improve upon it. In terms of combat, it is slightly worse than Brotherhood because again, Brotherhood improved upon it. In terms of stealth though, weirdly, I felt like Assassin's Creed 2 had better stealth than Brotherhood. In Brotherhood, I felt myself more compelled to engage in more open combat. In Assassin's Creed 2, I felt a lot more like keeping a low profile and staying that hidden assassin. So yeah, in terms of that, it is better in stealth. In terms of the mission design though, this and Brotherhood pretty much were my top picks, but I sort of had to balance things out a bit, and so this just about lost that spot to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, or this would have been top. Like, just Brotherhood has more of these missions, and that's why Brotherhood is on top, and that's about it. Now at number 1, I have Assassin's Creed Unity. Now, Assassin's Creed Unity does not have the best gameplay in the system. It has its flaws. There are other games that do things better than this one does in certain aspects. But the reason why it is up there is something that I will get to right now. In terms of parkour, it is not the best in the series. It is somewhat average. But it's still good. It's not bad. It's just that the animations sort of weirdly snap sometimes. And your character just jumps like Superman, climbs up like Spider-Man, and honestly, I don't want a DC Marvel crossover in my Assassin's Creed game. In terms of combat though, this is the best combat system in Assassin's Creed, bar none. I said Origins actually improved upon it, yes, but Origins was janky, Origins had its own issues, especially with the damage sponge enemies, and Unity is just better in that regard. Did it work every time? No, it did not. It was a glitchy mess for the most part, but when it worked, it was splendid, and I really like it. In terms of stealth, once again, did it work all the time? Hell no! But it is still the best system. Like the cover system, the only thing that Syndicate does better than Unity, honestly, is the cover system. I really did not like the fact that we can't whistle. I would really have loved that ability as well. But we still had a lot of tools at our disposal. We had Berserk Blades, we had the Phantom Blade, we had the smoke bombs, cherry bombs, stun bombs. There was so many things to play with in this game in stealth. And honestly, playing this game in stealth is a challenge of its own. And I have completed that challenge. Once again, you can check out my channel. I've done these videos as well. In terms of mission design though, I've said that Unity and Syndicate could not quite replicate what we saw in Assassin's Creed. And yes, that's pretty much it. In terms of mission design, I rated it lower than the original Assassin's Creed, but only slightly. Because Unity was the first game after AC1 that we really saw those elements starting to come back to the series. And all that said though, yeah, this deserves that #1 spot. Now to summarize, this is the chart of all the rankings. You may pause the video now, watch it, just check everything out. Now once you have done with this, of course, this is the end of this video. Now as I said, this is going to be an ongoing series because there are 2 other videos that I'm going to make in this series. So in the other 2 videos, I'm going to be discussing like the world, atmosphere, music in one video, and the lore, story and characters in a separate video, and of course summing it all up. So if you enjoyed this one, then consider pressing that like button, and as I've said before, do subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for the videos that are going to come, and also hit that notification bell icon so that you get notified the moment I upload these videos. And all that said though, I will leave you guys in peace.